Alright, start this VOD review.
Okay, there you go. He switched back. Oh, they have a Pharah, but we have a soldier. Easy.
Alright, so Diamond Lucio. Go back a little bit. Team. You have a soldier. Okay, so one thing I like to do on this map is put down a lot of pressure early on as Lucio, and then come back to heal my team, whoever that might be, if it's like an Ana in the backline, soldier in the backline, whatever. But because there's so many pillars, like there's tons of pillars, I like to play over here and just like be on the pillars, jumping around them and shooting at people and booping them, and just pulling pressure over to this side so my team, if they're trying to push up this side, they can do that. Like trying to stick with the Genji or whatever. Because whenever you're up on this little thing that you're standing on right here, it's pretty open, and you can jump on the pillars to like the left and the right of you, but it's like the most open area. If you're just jumping on the pillars, it provides a lot more cover for yourself. So it's a minor thing, but whenever I'm trading with another person that's really close to me, I like to shoot my 4 shots off and then melee someone like immediately after, because Lucio, you're pretty mobile, so you can get away with throwing in some melees here and there, and it's also like guaranteed damage that'll give you ult charge. That's pretty nice. Another minor-ish thing is it is good to like walk around and just be booping people, but you can combo with it. So like whenever someone's jumping or like they're getting hit in the air, it's very predictable where their path is. So you shoot 4 shots at them, you go up to either like melee them or boop them, and then while they're in the air, their path is really predictable because they're sitting in midair and they're having to float back down to the ground. So you can shoot another 4 shots usually. You just try to time it out so that you can have enough ammo to do that, as well as being able to shoot people in the air while they're in like a predictable place. No one's dying. Is this normal? It's just a bit weird. I'm not used to seeing the little people dying. Good. So when you're playing against Roadhog, the best way to boop him is to be on speed and go up right next to him and then crouch and then shoot your ult fire up in the air to be able to boop him, because the new verticality of boop assists you in launching him, because horizontally you can't shoot him as far, but vertically you can shoot him up at an angle, so it's if you crouch like a little bit whenever you go for the boop, you can boop him back further that way. So talk about this. Should be wall riding, using your momentum to get back if you're by yourself. But if you're looking to beat right here, you notice how this is a bit of a pit? If there's any walls blocking your beat, then it won't go to your teammates. So if you're down in this pit, all these walls that are blocking the pit, the people aren't going to receive beat. They have to be in field of view. And so my favorite spot to beat is right here or right here, because it's just these pillars usually blocking it. But there is a buffer time as well, where you can beat and it'll hit the ground and then the wave will be shooting out, and then you have a little bit of time to catch extra teammates in it. So you can be throwing your beat in like a high area, like in an elevated area, and then jumping out after that, and then you'll tag all the people who are like behind the pillar or whatever if you do it correctly. So whenever you're casting it down in the pit, it's not guaranteed how many people you're going to hit. So see, like right here, you had your aura on 5 people, and then it immediately goes to 3 by the time you're using your beat, so you're probably missing some teammates with the beat, where if you would have cast it up there, you probably would have had higher chance of it hitting more people.
Easy. Let's go team. Let's go team. Let's go team. Let's go team.
Ryan, this is looking pretty promising for you.
Let's go team. Let's go team.
Alright.
That's what you would say. Ryan, stop telling me what you would say.
So yeah, right there that was good. You should be looking to melee people as much as you can. Because you can miss your shots, because it is a somewhat slow-moving projectile as Lucio, so look to melee people as much as possible. Right here in this instance, this is what you should be doing. You shouldn't be spending a lot of time right here trying to kill people. You should be going in the point, stalling it out, and then wall riding around the outside, using your auras on your teammates, and go back to contesting. You can just keep doing that over and over again. Especially if your teammates are all dead. You just want to stall out the point so that your teammates can come back. So I probably would have waited here for my teammates to group up with me. I wouldn't have done this flank. You can do this flank sometimes, but it's better to group up with your team, use speed boost, and push in all together. Because what ends up happening here is your team doesn't get any of the speed boost. You're not buffing anyone. You end up pushing the Zarya back, and then your team's all over here, and they can't collapse over here because none of them have speed boost. Get singled out. You gotta consider the consequences of your actions sometimes. So like, a lot of people think, oh, okay, I just died, so that means that we have to wait for a next push, and it'll just be 5v6, and my teammates won't make any more mistakes. But like, whenever you make a mistake, it just like leaves your teammates open to make more mistakes. So like right there in that last instance, whenever you went and like suicided, your soldier ended up dying. I think one other person ended up dying. It's probably because they had 6 people, they had their Lucio, they were able to just speed up onto your team and kill you. And your team wasn't able to run away, and so they end up just getting more alt charge and getting kills. Zarya's been getting massive grabs though.
Team, please. Team, you guys are all autistic. Team, so at least a double boot kill. That wasn't really a boot.
I would be walking back to spawn right now. I do. But whenever your teammate's all dead, you should, or even like a few people are dead, should be looking to go back and speed boost your teammates.
Jesus Christ.
Push back.
Play Reaper because they have that fucking I might go Roadhog. They have 3 tanks, so they're probably got
Alright, so now that hook's down, you want to be playing aggressively. This is good. So I don't know if left side was the good decision to do here. Um, what seems to be the best is going up on lighthouse and then wall riding either all the way around or just like wall riding up this side. And then you can be in a spot, in a position, or if you wall ride high enough you can't get hooked, and then you can just come around here, bounce off this wall and shoot these people in. Right here you need to loop, like you were coming from here, you need to come all the way around here and then walk all the way around here and then hit them. Where this is like a smaller angle and it gets them, you have a wall to bounce off of before you can knock them in, and if you need to just get out you can just go back up here again. That's much safer, like with cover over here, but whenever you position yourself, right here, you're out in the open, you don't have any walls to get you, all of your teammates over here. Go for the boop, it doesn't work. And then your solution should be to tuck into the left room probably so that you can't get hooked. Because dropping into the bowl isn't that good, especially against Roadhog, because that's usually where he's sitting, is just around here looking for pulls. It's good, taxing your team back. See, you went lighthouse that time, that's better. Gives you much more cover and much more options with walls. See, I don't know if you need to be doing this right now, though. I think you should be facilitating your team coming into the point. Because you need to be able to collapse on their tanks. They don't have a lot of long-range damage, so you don't want to... I feel like when a team's running triple tanks, that you want to collapse on their squishies, or just try to catch one of their tanks off guard really quickly, and kill them pretty quickly. But when your team's not able to walk up, especially because you have a Reaper, you definitely want to be able to speed boost him in, because Reaper is super weak on his own. But if you're speed boosting him in on top of people, then it's much better, and you can actually shoot at people. The style is very risk-reward orientated, where if you get the boops, then you're carrying, but if you don't get the boops, then you're usually suicide, and a lot of times I don't think it's necessary, because I think you can carry in other ways, where you can help your team, and then you can go for the boops after, when it's necessary. And if you get skilled enough, you could have gone for like a boop right there on the soldier. When you're assisting your team, you can just do that. I really don't think that beat was necessary, so they used res last fight, and they already have, your team has already killed 2 people, and you don't see any of them ulting, and Lucio Mercy aren't putting out a lot of damage, so you want to be using your beat to save your team from an ult, so be in a safe place and use your beat to counteract, I don't know, soldier ult, Zarya ult. But now they have soldier, or they have both of them, Zarya and soldier ult, and you don't have any beat to protect them. You do have res to help you after the fact, but that isn't the most reliable thing.
She's the only one that's survived it.
That was a Zarya Roadhog combo. Fucking
I probably would have walked back to your spawn and went to speed boost the teammates that died because you had 3 teammates that were dead. There was only 2 teammates on the point. So you should be abusing cover more, I think, too, where you can be wall riding and then only peeking out when you need to actually shoot at people or when you actually want to boot people. Because when you're moving around out in the open a lot, it gives people a chance to shoot you, and sure, you might not have like the highest likelihood of dying to like soldier stray bullets, but it does feed him ult charge when you really just don't need to be giving him any. The other instance of using beat is I use it whenever I've gotten my ult later than people have used ults, so like say soldier ults or Genji ults or Zarya ults, and then I don't have beat for that fight. I'll use it like that coming fight, like to initiate the fight to win it, where I'll try to get my beat or yeah, my sound barrier as quick as I can for the next fight, so that I can use it then. And it also assists in your team actually winning the next fight. Also, something I guess you can do with Hog is if you don't have a protector on your team from Hog, so like you don't have a Diva, you don't have Zarya, even if you do, sometimes their cooldowns are down, and one thing you can do to protect people from getting hooked is you play safe yourself, and you play like, you can be playing aggressively, but you just play where you're not getting hooked, and then when a teammate gets hooked, you wait until he pulls them all the way in, and then you boop them before he can shoot them. Here, Mercy got res real quick. But yeah, you can use that to save your teammates from almost certain death. So in these kinds of fights with the Genji, I definitely would have just I walk up to him and just start meleeing him. Because he's jumping all over the place, and sometimes you can't land your shots. It's like really hard too. You can just be walking up to him, meleeing him, and you give him the chance to melee as well. But you're the one who has healing, self-healing, so you can usually win those duels. That was way too aggressive from you right there. If you are trying to get poke, you can jump up on these pillars next to you and just like wall ride your way to the top, and then at the top of the pillars you can be looking basically at their spawn and be shooting your primary fire there. Also, it gives you good like bird's eye view of like what's on the enemy team and if you need an escape route. Bigger bang combo, it's pretty effective. I'm never looking to play aggressively like that. That's good. Be like that. Even though you end up getting killed. Is I'm waiting for the Hog to use his hook so that I can go for the play aggressively. So it's just like you're playing like a cat and mouse game. It's the same with like Winston. Like if you play Lucio a lot, you'll play like similar with Winston, where play to disrupt and like cause chaos in the backline, and you play around Hog, basically. Like, you don't want to get hooked by Hog, because Hog shuts you down more than anything else. And so you just look to play around Hog and his hook cooldown, and whenever you hear his hook, like, clink, then you can look to jump in, play aggressively.
Tracer sucks, except I'm gonna try. In time.
Fuck, this game is fucking chasing me like crazy.
Who you focusing on, guys? Who plays Genji?
Hog's weak. Mercy's dead.
Mercy's down.
Whenever you hear Death Blossom, you should probably be on speed on your team. Or even if you hear Death Blossom on the other team, you should be just sitting on speed, because Reaper with speed boost and Death Blossom is actually disgusting. You can just run over teams with it, especially amped up speed boost. You really coordinate that with him, you can just run over a whole team.
You ain't fucking rezzing. Hey, follow me on Twitter. Zapata_571.
Yeah. That's the end of it.
I'm diamond! I'm stopping.
Yeah, you better stop. What the hell?
Hey, I did pretty
Yeah, if you didn't die as much, 8 deaths, it's a pretty okay amount, but like a death every 2 minutes. I don't think you need to be dying as much. You would be getting less kills, but your team would be alive more often, so that they would be getting the kills. And I think you can still get the boops playing a safer style, where you play just around cover smarter, and then you can look to boop teammates to safety, because on a lot of Koth maps, it's really good to like play aggressively and go for the boops, but that playstyle doesn't really transfer over to, say, any hybrid map or any payload map, where you're fighting more out in the open and there isn't as much cover, and you kind of have to play really smart around the cover that you do have, and your boops aren't always going to be as lethal. So also, these numbers are okay. I think you usually should have more damage done than healing as Lucio, but if you were alive more often, it'd probably be pretty close. It'd be much closer. It seemed okay. One thing I notice with a lot of people that I coach is that you need to be pressing tab more often to see what ults your team has, so that you can facilitate with them, so you can talk to them, because a lot of DPS players, even I play with at like 4,000, whatever, 4,300, 4,400, they have their ults, and then they don't think about using it with anyone else, and they'll just like say like, oh, I have ult, I need to use my ult. Where you can just be like, press tab and see, oh, my Reaper has ult. Okay, hey Reaper, do you want to ult this fight? And then I'll speed boost you so we can just run them over, or I can like look for a boop to boop the Roadhog away, and then you can look to use your ult. Or, hey guys, I think Zarya has her Graviton on the other team. I'm gonna look to use my beat to save us from this fight. And so your team knows like, oh, okay, if we get grabbed, we're gonna get beat, and it's gonna be okay. So it's just like little things where if you see you have ults and stuff, you should be the one talking about it. Yep, that's pretty much it.